Cole, thank you for joining me today and for trusting me with your story. I
Thank you for
know
having me.
it's not easy for you to relive something as tragic as you went through, and I appreciate you willing to talk to me publicly about it and tell people your story. I know it's hard for you. It's hard for us to hear it, but you personally going through it, it I definitely, if I ask a question that is uncomfortable for you, just and you don't want to answer, just tell me I don't feel comfortable talking about that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to offend my audience at all. I want you to be as comfortable as possible through this whole thing. I appreciate you being here and being willing to tell me your side in your own words.
Yes, thank you.
Ooh. So before we begin, before we even get into what happened, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who was Cole Goldberg before the Boca Bash?
Sure. Yeah. I was born in New York. I moved down to Boca Raton, Florida. Basically grew up there. Went to elementary school, middle school, high school, even university in Florida. Went to Florida State University where I graduated. Always a great student, student athlete, played sports, had football scholarships, academic scholarships. Never been in trouble one day in my life. I had a very nice supportive family, which I'm very fortunate for, and I had a very good upbringing. Um, Went to Florida State University, had plans and aspirations to go to law school. Um, my father's a lawyer. Both my sets of my grandparents are lawyers. My uncle, I have many lawyers in my family, so I wanted to continue the path. Not just to continue it, but I also had passion for it as well. I was very interested in becoming an attorney. So that was my goals. I was graduating Florida State University December of 2021, and that upcoming August in 2022, I was planning to start law school. I wanted to go to and stay in South Florida. My dad went to South Florida. He went to Nova specifically, and I wanted to either go there, Miami, or just stay in the area just to be comfortable. So um, pretty much that was my goals and aspirations. I was going to go to law school and just continue the legacy of my family.
Okay. What did people misunderstand about you from the very beginning?
From the very beginning, once the case hit the headlines,
Once the case hit the headlines?
the thing they misunderstood is people, especially in today's day and age, tend to believe everything they read. And a lot of these publications love it to me, make it juicy and just they want to put out what the audience wants to read and to be seen. So a lot of facts, evidence, everything, everyone just jumped the gun before any evidence came out. And I will say headlines do not determine guilt, evidence does.
Mhm.
So, and that was proven in a courtroom.
So give me a little background about what exactly Boca Bash is for people that don't have never heard of it and don't know what it is.
Sure, yeah. Boca Bash is a annual event. It's the last Sunday of every April. It's essentially a big lake. It's a big perimeter. In the middle, there's a sandbar where you could stand. So a lot of people like to go there. It's about knee-high water, and around the perimeter, that's obviously deeper. That's where the bigger boats go. But there's thousands of vessels, all types of people, jet skis, paddle boards, every possible way to get to Boga Bash, people do. And thousands of people, thousands of boats. It's just a big party from sunrise to sunset, essentially.
How loud is it and how chaotic is it? Is it more like streamlined where there's, rules and people follow it, or is this just an all out chaotic bash?
It's an all-out chaotic bash for sure. I mean, it's definitely unregulated. Just where the location is, no one can really. There's no jurisdiction to like. They've been trying to. The police and the city have been trying to shut it down for years, but they just can't. So instead, they just have so many police forces throughout the whole state that come and volunteer. I mean, everywhere they have the Fish and Wildlife, the Coast Guard, Boca PD, the sheriff. Every agency comes to try to monitor it. The best they could do is close down some boat ramps in the area, but they've been trying to shut this down for a while, and I mean, every year there's always issues, so that's the thing.
What do people not understand about trying to communicate or react in open water when there's boats and loud music and alcohol and crowds? What is it that can hinder them from actually seeing what's really happening?
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere itself is just chaotic. The time of day is a big being in the sun all day is an issue. The salt water, you get dehydrated quickly, especially if you're drinking alcohol. There's lack of food, lack of water unless you prepare and bring it on the boat. But if you're there all day, the chances are you don't have many options. The conditions just it's an all day event, so you're literally there from sunrise basically to sunset. I mean, you have to get there early to get a good spot, unless it's pretty difficult to get out there. Um, there's many factors that will affect your conditions all day being out there.
So, crowded water, alcohol, noise, panic, assumptions, all of these things matter when we talk about witness reliability.
Correct.
Okay. When did you first realize that this was becoming criminal?
Um, when I first realized is when I got pulled up to the police boat, and I actually thought I was just getting a ride home. I was actually relieved to see them, and I start getting questioned. I'm completely cooperative. I tell exactly what happened. I told them I couldn't swim at least 5 to 6 times, and that was completely disregarded. Or I will rephrase that: I had trouble swimming. I could swim, but I had trouble swimming in those conditions. Um, And as soon as the lead officer started questioning me a second time, I was questioned by two officers. That's when I started to realize that this is becoming serious. But this whole time, I knew nothing happened, and I knew my then girlfriend knew nothing happened as well. And I thought this was all misunderstanding that's going to get cleared up, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse as the hours went on.
So, tell me in your own words, what actually happened? Because I've read many different things online, obviously. There's different versions of the story out there. So, I'd like to hear in your own words what actually happened.
Sure. So essentially, the main instance. We didn't, so we came with friends earlier in the day, and it's a very strict rules. You have to have enough life jackets per person on the boat. I mean, the Coast Guard's going around checking all day if the vessel's moving. So my friends, we initially came with in the morning. They decided to leave around 1 o'clock. This is my then girlfriend's first time there at this event. I've been going since I was like 10 years old, so I've experienced everything. Um, And I gave her the option. I was like, "Is it your first time here? Do you want to stay? Do you want to go?" She was having such a fun, great time. She wanted to stay. So our original ride decided to leave because they had enough. So I'm just there with my backpack and her. And so many boats. People boat hop all the time. Everyone's talking to each other. Everyone's pretty friendly. So you just boat hopping on other people's boats. So that's what we did. I ended up calling someone I knew, and they came with a paddleboard to come get us and brought us over to the deep end. And long story short, it came time to leave there as well. And that brings me back to the life jackets. The captain that the boat we were on now said if you didn't come with us, you need to get off because we don't have enough life jackets per person on the boat. So my then girlfriend at the time starts getting extremely irrational. Mind you, I mean, she was drinking throughout the day. I mean, it's a long day. It's 5 o'clock now. We've been there since maybe 8:30 in the morning, and lack of food, lack of water, whatever it may be. Everyone's tired, exhausted, and drinking. She gets very irrational and decides to swim to shore or jump off the boat to find a way home because this captain just kicked us off. I'm there and I was like, I'm pleading my case. I was like, listen, we don't have a ride home. Please, you got to take us. Turns out someone on the boat finds two more life jackets for us because I guess someone that came with them earlier in the day didn't come back. So there was two extra life jackets. So she's in the water at this point, just starting swimming, and the boat captain says, "You have 30 seconds to go get her." So at that point, I'm yelling her name, screaming, come back, we have a ride." And she's too far at this point. She can't hear me. So I decided to jump in. I'm in similar conditions. I've been there since the morning, lack of food, lack of water. I've been drinking throughout the day. Not falling down drunk, nothing like that. I still had all my faculties and my awareness, but I was just tired. So I jump in the water to swim towards her to get her back to the boat so we could leave. And she's pretty far at this point. I had to swim about 50 yards, I would say. She's probably 30, 40 yards ahead of me, and zero chance to warm up. I literally go from 0 to 100, like basically sprinting, but obviously swimming in the water. So I'm going as fast as I can. By the time I hit like 25 yards halfway through, I start to feel the effects of in panic. I start feeling like I'm sinking. My lower half starts going under. I'm having trouble staying afloat. And I look back over my right shoulder to the boat I just jumped off of to see maybe I need to go back because I'm struggling. But I was in the middle and I was still focused on getting my then girlfriend back to safety, and back so we could leave. So I keep going. As I keep going, now I'm sinking lower. I start getting water in my eyes, hot water in my mouth, start swallowing water. And more I swim, the crazier it got. And I started like seeing black. I mean, I was in such a panic. I literally thought I was dying and drowning, and it was very difficult in those conditions. And I just needed to touch something, anything, to regain my composure. I felt like I was in like basically outer space, obviously without gravity, just nothing around me to grab onto, just to feel like to regain myself.
Right.
And I see her. I'm so focused on her, and I just see her right shoulder sticking out of the water. I couldn't tell if it was shallow enough there or if she was on a floaty. Turns out it was like 15 feet high water, maybe a little less, but you can't stand. It wasn't shallow. Turned out to be on a floaty. So I see her right shoulder sticking out. I'm swimming behind her. I lunge forward to grab onto her right shoulder just to regain my composure for maybe a second or two, and just to keep my head above water. Later learned as the climbing the ladder effect, which is a drowning instinct.
Mhm.
And that's essentially all that happened. And that's when these people that gave her a floaty, because she was also in distress, accused me of trying to drown her.
So the people that gave her the floaty are the ones that accused you, not her.
Exactly. Yes.
When did her story change?
Her story changed, I would probably say the next day after she got out of jail and saw these headlines and these opportunities to play victim to get herself out of her trouble because she had a warrant out for arrest for violation of probation. She was on probation and violated it. I personally didn't know this side of her. She kind of kept that stuff from me, but I think she used that for sympathy for herself, to get herself out of her warrant issue. And she also saw these headlines come, and she's big in the reality world. She loves the headlines. She would always tell me bad publicity is good publicity, and saw an opportunity and saw all these how viral it went, and just ran with it. Honestly, she saw an opportunity to play victim in her own personal financial ways, and just to get out of trouble as well.
Hmm. What went through your mind when you heard the words attempted murder?
Honestly, I thought this was like a sick nightmare joke. Like I was in disbelief this whole time. I was like, is this really happening? Like my girlfriend's gonna come clear this up. Um, Obviously, when we were getting interviewed by the cops, we were separated, and we told the same story essentially. She told them, based off the body cam, that I think he touched my shoulder back area and he had trouble swimming. Essentially, I told the cops both times, 5, 6 times, that I had trouble swimming. That's the only reason I grabbed onto her. And the fact that obviously she didn't even say anything that day. It was just a master class of perception without context that these witnesses didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, how concerning was it to you with the way the investigation went that none of the witnesses were actually separated? They were allowed to stay in a
Yep.
group and talk amongst themselves.
So that was the first big issue I had with what went on. First of all, it was the Florida Fish and Wildlife Agency or Conservation. Um, I later learned they have a week of training for this type of things, and the lead officer never investigated a felony before. He said that in court. There was a couple officers first day on the job. I mean, the fish and wildlife, they don't come across this kind of stuff. They're trained to measure the size of a lobster or life jacket checks or anything to do with fishing, pretty much, and just wildlife. So that alone, I would be able to say that, in my opinion, seemed to be inexperienced. Um, and the whole investigation was a big problem. There was one very hostile, loud witness. He was the boat owner. Seemed very angry at me for some reason. Um, he initially put a fish gaff in my face when I was hanging onto the back of the boat, trying to explain myself, and that's when I felt threatened and left. Because I left after the whole soldier situation. I was trying to explain myself. She got on the boat. I was like, "That's my girlfriend." I couldn't swim, and I couldn't get a word out. This boat owner puts a fish gaff in my face, saying, "If you come any closer, I'm going to strike you with it." So I swim back to the boat that I originally jumped off of, and I could have left at this point. And I said, "I'm not leaving without my girlfriend." So instead of me leaving, I get dropped off to the sandbar and swim back 15 minutes later. And that's when I come back, my girlfriend at the time is leaning with her hand out, comforting me as I came back. Mind you, this whole 15 minutes, not one 911 call, no medical attention, absolutely nothing. No marks, no injuries, zero. If all these witnesses really thought this was attempted murder, wouldn't you at least call the cops, take a video, anything? Especially in today's day and age, everyone has phones. I mean, it's ridiculous. So the cops were only waved over. They were never even called over. They were waved over as I was hanging onto the boat, holding my then girlfriend's hand, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. So the investigation in that aspect, just the fact that there was zero calls, nothing, no attention, no marks, nothing, was crazy to me. But during the investigation, shared people were sharing pens, writing statements. The officer says, "Imagine if this was your daughter." Initially, no one wanted to write a statement. Uh, they were coerced in that way. Um, they were worried about being on the news. They were basically said, "Oh, they're just going to be together later tonight." These accusations are major, and everyone really downplayed it, especially during that whole 15-minute block where there was zero calls, no attention, nothing, no marks, no injuries. The investigation. So this guy, the guy who put the hook in my face, the boat owner, he's the one who planted the seed in this officer said. He said he just tried to drown her. He's an attempted murderer. Officer ran with that. Obviously, started having them remember statements. They were two couples in the front of the boat, two in the back, sharing pens. This boat owner was hovering over everybody, making sure everyone was talking. During that whole 15-minute period, they all had a chance to corroborate and kind of communicate of what they saw. So they were essentially just one witness on a boat, even though there was four of them. They all basically came collectively together from the boat owners' opinions. So another part of the investigation is they investigated one other boat. Again, there's hundreds, thousands of boats in the area. They only
Right.
investigated the boat that the boat owner pointed to. They said, yeah, they saw it too. I mean, the whole investigation was, and then it lasted 24 minutes. We learned attempted murder investigation lasted 24 minutes. And another thing about the alleged victim, my then girlfriend, this is supposed to be a drowning attempted murder case with suffocating on the neck. Essentially, they never asked her or even took any photos about her neck once, and because there was no injuries. First of all, they kept asking about her arms, her bruises on her arms, at least 60 times. Never about her neck. Zero. She was just supposedly drowned or allegedly drowned and almost killed. So that's crazy to me at that point. But she essentially had old bruises on her arms because she got into a car accident, which was admitted into evidence 6 days before Boca Bash. That's where those little bruises for. But essentially, the point I'm trying to make is, again, it's an attempted murder, drowning, strangulation accusation, and they never questioned her or asked her once about her neck area or shoulder area. The whole investigation was just crazy to me.
Did the bruises on her arms ever get cleared up in court?
Yes, the car accident was admitted into court with timestamps and dates.
Okay.
Yes.
What was it like waking up and seeing your mugshot everywhere and being basically convicted in the court of public opinion and you hadn't even been to court yet?
Right. That was probably the craziest experience ever. Again, it was two kind of sides to it because I was getting betrayed and backstabbed from someone I loved and trusted, my then girlfriend. I thought she was going to be able to come clear this up, but then finding out how she just turned on me, I was not only dealing with that, but obviously the court of public opinion. And seeing all my mugshot and all these headlines just circulate like a domino effect, it was definitely very difficult in the first month or two, and I just had to just stay strong, and it was definitely difficult to show my face, however, but ultimately I got through it.
Do you think with all of the social media and public opinion and everything, that is what actually pressured the prosecutor to keep harping on a plea deal?
I do. I think the media played a major role in how she was constantly pursuing this. I believe if there was no media at all, this would have never went this far. I mean, it was definitely a big factor. Not only for the officer, I don't know if he was trying to get a big score with this big accusation or charge, but I think the fact of the alleged victim's background and how it hit the press, it definitely played a major role in her role and her options of what she was trying to do.
Was there ever a point where you thought, man, I can't keep going through this. Let me just take this plea deal and get this over with? Or were you like, man, I didn't do anything. I'm going to fight this to the bitter end?
I said I didn't do anything. I was fighting this to the end. And the plea deal they offered me was 6 months in county jail, a convicted felony to domestic battery by strangulation, and I think it was 3 years probation. And I was never agreeing to any felony or any time. And I was taking this all the way. I knew I did nothing wrong.
Good. So, what did the process, this whole nightmare from start to finish, what kind of toll has it played on you emotionally? Like, are you back to the Cole that you were before this ever happened? Will you ever get back there?
But I do always have my guard up now. I definitely look at people very differently. I essentially might have. It's gonna take me a lot to trust somebody now. Um,
Yeah.
Especially for just what I experienced. I never thought someone I was with could ever think I could do something like this, and just get turned on that way. But I'm working on it. I mean, I still keep my head up and see the better in people. However, I always have to have my guard up even stronger now.
That's a hard one to. What do you plan on doing now after the acquittal has come and essentially your name has been cleared? What are your like future goals? Are you still wanting to become a lawyer?
I am, yes. I'm actually studying for the LSAT. I'm going to probably take it in September or October, and then apply to law school for the next cycle in August. Definitely what I want to do. I want to be able to resonate with potential future clients that might be in my shoes, and I think I would do very well in that aspect. Right now, I'm currently advocating for fair trials and due process and the issues of the court of public opinion. I mean, it's definitely a big problem, especially with impartial juries. It's in today's day and age, it's you can't control it. I mean, you back in the day it was just the news, but now you have the Instagram, the TikToks, the Snapchats, all the social media, and everything spreads like wildfire, and everyone forms opinions before evidence is presented, and it really could hurt you. I mean, that's why I chose the bench trial, and honestly, one of the main reasons I was worried about a jury, um, whether they just wanted to go home early or they saw these articles. Um, until they were instructed not to search the defendant, I really was worried that after the first day they were going to go up and look up these nasty articles out of me and really formulate an opinion prior to anything, and it's a scary feeling.
It definitely is. Has this changed your view? Like, you come from a family of attorneys. So has this changed your view on how the laws are interpreted, how the courts handle things versus how it's supposed to be?
Definitely, I do. First of all, I think the the burden of probable cause is so low. I mean, Anyone could just accuse anyone of anything. Oh, he did this. Okay, he's arrested for attempted murder. Like, especially if the victim's not saying anything or the alleged victim, and there's no visible injuries. Just it, probable cause is very low. The burden to prove. First of all. Second of all, I experienced something firsthand with the prosecutor. Simply because I didn't want to take that plea deal. A year and a half into the case, the plea I just spoke about, I declined it. And without any new evidence coming into play or anything at all major, she says if I don't take the plea deal, then she's going to upfile the charges back to attempted murder. Um, with no new evidence. That in my opinion, that's vindictive, and I don't know how they have insane amount of power in that way. But the plea pressure is a crazy experience as well. So yeah, I originally had it down filed to just I had a different prosecutor initially, got it down filed to domestic battery by strangulation and just battery, simple battery. And then because this new prosecutor came in and I didn't take that plea deal, she decided to upfile it. So I was charged with second degree attempted murder, domestic battery by strangulation, and battery because I didn't take a plea deal.
And that's legal how?
I'm just trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
so what does this, in your opinion, what does this say about our whole justice system? Like, is it still innocent until proven guilty, or is it based more on conviction rates and, boosting the prosecutor's ego?
I think it's conviction rates. I mean, innocent proven guilty, yes. However, obviously with the court of public opinion, it's the opposite. And first of all, second of all, I feel like a lot of these prosecutors they just want a win. I mean, that's their way to level up and start a private practice or make a name for themselves. Whether they're supposed to be a minister of justice, so they're trying to press you into pleas, whatever it may be. And another thing that's a problem is the cost to fight. Anyone I'm fortunate enough to have a family. Again, I just graduated straight out of college. I didn't have much money, um, so I had a family with a few dollars that were able to help me and support me. And anyone else that didn't have that would be forced into that plea that I declined because they couldn't afford to fight it. And for something they didn't do, they would have a felony on their record and serve 6 months in jail for being innocent. I mean, it's a problem. Uh, Nothing against, I know everyone has the right to counsel with public defenders, but the state doesn't provide them with the resources enough to fight accusations like this. You can't get expert witnesses, whatever, a jury consultation, anything extra that may help you win these accusations. The public defenders are not funded in that aspect, and they're very overwhelmed with cases as well. So it's basically it's like a plea machine.
And that's why we have wrongfully convicted people sitting in prison.
Exactly. Yes.
So do you think there should be more public protections when it comes to like people posting on social media about a case before it ever hits the courtroom?
I do. I know there's a problem with believe the First Amendment rights with the press, so that's an issue in that way. But I think what I was trying to brainstorm is with a jury, maybe it could be different to keep them impartial. As evidence is coming out, maybe you could hide the name from the jury. Make I don't know if it's a number or whatever, a fake name, John Doe, so they can't go and look them up after. Specific places like Lake Boca, in my example, could just be called Lake anything or something more broad, just to help build that second layer and help prevent juries to look up defendants or formulate opinions prior to all the evidence coming out. But there's definitely other ways I'm trying to consider too, but that definitely needs to change the law on that aspect. I mean, the media is causing issues for sure.
Now, how has this affected your reputation? Has there been as much social media presence with the acquittal as there was when they found, when the public opinion found you guilty on social media? Has that played out the same way, or has the acquittal been downplayed and your name is still being dragged through the mud?
So there's definitely some good publications that kept up with it. I will say I had to put a lot more pressure on these publications to follow up. Obviously, I didn't reach out to them initially. But did have to put a little bit of force into it and effort to try to get them to follow up because they posted initially. So now post the result. But
Right.
there's definitely a lot more that happened prior when everything was juicy in their eyes and they wanted to get these views uh, than now. But I'm still getting very good publication now, especially since I'm advocating and kind of just steering away from my story specifically and advocating for people going through the same situation that I went through.
I completely understand that. That's what we do too, for sure.
Yes,
Um, do you think it changed the type of attorney that you want to be? Like, I don't know if you ever considered going into criminal beforehand, or if this has just like changed your whole perspective and now you've got a different view. So now you want to be a different kind of attorney.
definitely. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I'd never wanted to be a criminal attorney ever, but now I do more than ever. I was always afraid to have people's life in my hands and kind of, I wouldn't say afraid. It's just it's a lot of pressure, and I
Hmm.
feel like sleepless nights. But now, 100%. I mean, my background with sports, I always wanted to be a sports and entertainment agent. You don't need a law degree for that specifically, but it helps going hand in hand with contract law. So I wanted to go in that field, be a lawyer there for personal injury. That's what my uncle does currently in Florida. And but now going through this and the whole process, these 4 years that everything I've learned and seen and what I want to fight for, 100%, I want to be a criminal defense attorney.
Have you thought about suing anybody over these fraudulent social media posts and the way that they did basically drag your name through the mud? Has that ever like occurred to you, or do you just want this to all die and move on with life?
I've looked into it. I've talked to a few people. I think it's just best to let the actual case just die off and just essentially just clear my name by advocating now and getting good press out and go that route instead. But I've definitely had some considerations and exploring if there's any way to do anything.
I completely understand that.
Yes,
Look, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this interview with me. Like I said, I've been fighting my husband's case for years, so I totally get what you've gone through. Thankfully, the court was smart enough to open their eyes and see the truth, and that you're not sitting behind bars for attempted murder, because that is absolutely ludicrous to me. Um, I wish you all the best. And if there's anything we can ever do to collaborate on advocating, I've got all kinds of cases that would love to help with.
of course. Definitely open to that. I would love to continue advocating, and I'm all ears for sure. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to tell your story, because I know reliving it can bring up emotions that you may not want to deal with anymore. And people keep wanting to talk to you, and it just keeps it fresh. And you need to heal, because this was a traumatic event that happened to you. You know, you got
Definitely.
4 years of your life taken away by nothing, a crime that never even happened.
Exactly. Yep. I'm just glad the truth came out and extremely fortunate about the results and look forward to advocating and continuing forward with my life. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Cole. You have a wonderful day.
You as well.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.